Hello, my friends. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to talk about foundations, specifically foundations under $10. There are actually a lot of really good options out there, and I think it's important to talk about this because one of the highest cost things in the drugstore makeup-wise these days tends to be foundation. A new one comes out from a brand, and more often than not, that foundation is over $10. Some of them even around $16. And if you're trying to update your makeup routine or get a few things and then one of those things is coming in just under 20 and you're like, what, this is not the way it's supposed to be. I've got you in this video. We've got foundations under 10, a variety of finishes and formulas, and they're all things I really like. In fact, I would have to say some of my most favorite, any price range considered. So I'm basically going to talk you through those today and hopefully explain well enough so you'll know which one might be best suited to you and your preferences and your needs. But as far as my face today, before I mention the foundation, I want to mention the other stuff I have on. I've actually got a combo of a couple of the foundations that I'm talking about in this video, but then I went on to apply some Rimmel Multitasker Concealer. I feel like my skin has been a little more oily than usual lately. So you'll see when we get to talking about the foundations which ones I used, but I used that concealer. I set it with my Wet n Wild Photo Focus Loose Powder in the soft pink shade. That's on repeat right now. For some contour, I used this Milani Cheek Kiss Cream Bronzer in the shade Spicy Season. I set that with some Benefit Hoola just because I felt like pulling that out. Just a real basic bronzer to go over the top. For blush and highlighter today, these are a couple of Dollar Tree items. I used my bPure Essentially Ageless. They call it Luminizing Blush, but it's just a very pigmented matte blush, that sort of dusty peach color. This one doesn't have a shade name on it, and I can't remember what that shade is actually called, but I have like this tone, and I have a more pinky color, so use that. And then this highlighter is from Ioni. The shade says Emma on it. Really cute little like cardboard packaged products here, and this is so nice. It's very icy, and I just lightly have that on the tops of my cheeks, a little on the forehead. I misted all over with my M Cosmetics Divine Water Perfecting Mist. That smell is so fresh and so clean. I love it. Went on with my eye look. I used my Wet n Wild eyeshadow primer because I'm just in a kind of a long-term experimental mode with that, making sure it really does work for me well. My eyeshadow is this little quad from e.l.f. It's the one called Pumpkin Pie, I believe. Yeah. So just a little bronzy mix. We have two mattes here. This one, which started out in my crease, this one that's deeper and cooler, and then I only used one of the bronzy shades. I used this one on the inner part of my lid. So that's that. Use some Hard Candy Cold Brew to smudge on my lower lash line, and Milani Stay Put Tank Eyeliner on the upper lash line. Mascaras today are Essence Lash Princess False Lash Effect on the upper, and e.l.f. Lash Extender on the lower, because that's a tubing mascara, will not smudge. And then for my lip combo today, just kind of playing into that brownish vibe, I've got on this Lawless lipstick. The shade is Cookie, so it's a nice little toasty shade. That's really the bulk of the color that you see on my lips right now. I defined it a little bit more with Boyfriend from Hard Candy, the Instapout range. That's been a real go-to brownish lip liner for me. And then the shine is from my Profusion Juicy Lips Nourishing Lip Oil. Shade is Radiant Rose. So now chatting about these foundations, something important to note is that you're gonna pay less for the foundations at Walmart compared to Ulta. There might be some that I mention in this video, and then you go run to Ulta's website and you're like, it's over $10. That could happen, but I assure you all of these at Walmart are at their cheapest price. I mean, you might run into a deal here or there at Ulta or at Target that knocks the price down a little bit, but except for one of these that I'm mentioning from Walgreens, I'm referring to Walmart prices here. So let's start out with some of the lightest coverage, and one of the best products you can get that's just a light, like they call it a tinted hydrator. It's from Wet n Wild. This is going to give you some actual light to medium coverage. I think it's beautiful in that regard, but a little extra moisture, very easy to blend, very lightweight feeling on the skin. This has hyaluronic acid and squalane. It's oil-free. I've talked about it a ton. The shade I wear in this is called Light, and I will link to videos videos below so you can see applications, because I can't like be trying on all of these on the same day. But this gives a beautiful level of radiance. Like I said, it's going to give you a little added hydration, but depending on application amount, it's going to be like a light to medium coverage. It's really beautiful. To me, it feels very low fuss. I know it's going to be super easy to blend, so this product always comes to mind when I'm thinking of like a no makeup day, or just some day where I want it to all be lighter and more natural. This is always front of mind for that type of purpose. Now, newer on the market, Wet n Wild does have their niacinamide skin tint with the dropper. I feel like that's actually kind of similar to this. A little bit thinner in consistency, but overall a similar coverage level. Is that niacinamide ingredient important to you? Maybe you might veer toward that product, but really I think this is my absolute favorite. I think this adds a little extra hydration too. And by the way, that's just $5 and change, $5.47 currently at Walmart. Now, another one that is great from Walmart, under $5, is from the Relove by Revolution brand, and it's called Super Serum. This is a hyaluronic acid foundation. I am shade F4 in this product, and at first I used this and I thought, okay, it's a subpar staying power foundation, but I kept using it more and more, and I've got to say, with thoughtful setting, like this is one I'll probably set all over, not just do my little T-zone and under eye thing, but I'll lightly set my face all over, and this actually looks really good. It looks very fresh upon application, but it's a straight beautiful medium coverage. I would say generally a little more coverage than the tinted hydrator, but similar in terms of that added bit of moisture. Now, we're not relying on our foundations to be our moisturizing agent in our routine. You know, we're prepping our skin with moisturizers, but some of us can use that added little drink, and if you're one of those people, these are good foundations for that. Another one I want to mention here, this is $8 at Walmart, the e.l.f. Soft Glam Foundation. This isn't my tip-top favorite for staying power, but it does look absolutely beautiful on the skin. I am shade 25 Light Neutral in this stuff. They call it a medium buildable coverage, long-lasting foundation with 1% hydrating hibiscus complex. So this one is really walking that line on the skin where, yeah, it looks fresh. It doesn't look ultra dewy, but it's not a full matte either. It's a kind of a nice natural finish. The more I set this, the better off I am for staying power. And I'm like a normal skin type, but lately I've been a little more oily than usual. But as we kind of stair step through this video, we're talking more coverage than these last two. And I think it's pretty accurate in the description of being a satin foundation. We're thinking natural skin-like appearance, not too glowy, not too matte. Next up, for $5 and change, you can get a Wet n Wild Photo Focus foundation, which does come in the two different formulas. You can get the matte or the dewy. I've always said the matte wears a little bit better. They're a very similar appearance on the skin, actually. If you've worn one for a long time, let's say you've been matte for years and then you decide to try the dewy, you're not going to put it on and be like, wow, I'm so glowy. It's not that glowy, but it's a little less matte than this one. But the coverage level, I feel they have kept very similar with both of these products. But what I find for my skin is that the matte always wears a little bit better, a little more flawless all day. The Photo Focus matte is certainly one that I can put on, see my face toward the end of a day and think, I don't believe I need to touch that at all. Like, it wears very well. The application here is a little like spatula guy. So we've had squeeze tubes. This is a dropper with the Super Serum, but these have that unique little spatula that I just use to, as I say, frost the cake, swipe it all over the skin. I have soft beige in the matte. I happen to have buff bisque in the dewy, but they end up looking pretty similar once they're all blended out. The dewy version, still not a dud in terms of staying power. It's just this one kind of outperforms it. But these are really pretty on the skin. They really can cover, and I would say these are the fullest coverage ones that I've mentioned so far. I got to choose my words carefully there. They're the fullest that I've mentioned so far. Would I call them totally full coverage, just period, meaning concealer optional skin? No, I'd say they're a strong medium overall. They'll cover a lot, but I'm still going to want to go in with concealer on my certain areas like under eye and maybe some redness around the nose. But keep in mind, I am not a high volume foundation and concealer applier. Like, I don't put on tons. If you put on tons of any of this stuff, you might feel like, full coverage. But I just don't think that always results in the best staying power. I'm a one pump kind of person with the things that have pumps, and with these, it's really really hard to tell how much you're getting on actually, because you're just kind of like swiping whatever you need. But I'm taking like a swipe on this side, a swipe on this side, across the forehead, the nose, and the chin. And then I'm working with that and blending that in. And I'm getting a very strong medium coverage out of these products. The same can be said for this next one, which is right up there with the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Matte for staying power. And it's the Rimmel Lasting Finish. This is the one I had to look up the price at Walgreens. It's $7.99. And this is a phenomenal product. A very good staying power. It might be just a little more light feeling on the skin than the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Matte, and just a slight bit more natural look, but still that same strong medium coverage. I'm shade Soft Beige here. I've been Soft Beige in this brand since like the apartment days back in like 2007. This does have SPF 20 in it, and it has a pump as well. Glass bottle. I mean, this is a truly awesome foundation. I've gotten a lot of good feedback coming back to me on this one, and people enjoy how it's long wearing, it doesn't feel too heavy, and the coverage is really beautiful. How does this compare to like the e.l.f. Soft Glam? I feel like this might be a little more glow on the skin, but this kind of beats it out on staying power. Part of the issue with this could be availability. You're not going to find this just anywhere. For example, my Walmart sells Rimmel, but they don't have this. Walgreens carries this, but I'm not always in a Walgreens that often. You do have the option of ordering online, although it might be a few dollars extra on Amazon. So I get it. e.l.f. is becoming that brand where it's everywhere, it seems like. This might be a little harder to come by, but it's a beautiful foundation that is really giving you, I think, everything you want. The coverage, the not looking too heavy, the staying power. This is a really good jack of all trades. Where I feel like everything I've mentioned up to this point has had sort of a specialty. This is the one that's kind of mastering it all. Now let's finally get to the ones that I'm wearing today. And these are going to cater specifically to the people who are more on the oily side. Me as an overall normal skin type, sometimes I'm more dry. I think the weather's changing a little bit and I've become a bit more combo just in the T-zone. And this Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless is actually a really beautiful option. So this is coming in at $8.62 at Walmart, and there's a dewy version too. I just think the function of the matte and poreless is a little bit more remarkable, because so often we think, okay, if I need that matte foundation, am I gonna have to just go for something that's really full coverage or feeling kind of heavy on the skin as well? And this is very lightweight. Lightweight, but giving you the matte finish. It feels thin as you put it on. It's that traditional bottle. I'm sure you could probably purchase a pump if you're really into it, but we're talking more lightweight compared to the Photo Focus Matte from Wet n Wild. So if you're wanting kind of that barely there feel, this is a good option. I wear this in the shade Light Beige. I just blended it in with a brush today to kind of maximize the coverage. I even built the coverage in the center of my face a bit, and I feel like it looks beautiful. And I know I'll be able to count on this for good staying power as I accompany Rhett on his pre-K field trip to the gymnastics place today. This also is one that has come up. I know I've done like bestseller type of videos, like trying out the bestsellers from Target or Walmart or wherever. This often comes up as a bestseller. It's nothing new, but it is a pretty popular foundation for good reason. The dewy version, similar coverage level. I feel like it's kind of light to medium, generally medium. The dewy obviously is giving a more juicy look on the skin. I just think it's more remarkable that you can find a thin, lightweight, but matte finish foundation. That's kind of the bigger deal find to me. And also another good thing here, this stick. I just kind of patched this around as an added little layer on my T-zone today, and I actually think it looks super good. Whether you're oily skinned or not, this is a very good stick foundation from the drugstore. It's the Maybelline Fit Me Shine Free Plus Balance Foundation. I have the shade Classic Ivory. It's got that little core in the middle. I looked it up on Walmart, regular price $8.98 and currently marked down to $6.98. This has a beautiful glide across the skin, goes on with so much ease. It is going to be a matte finish. It carries a little less moisture than that new stick from Milani. So it's got that real apparent goal of keeping you matte, but it's lightweight, it's easy, it's good for a touch-up, it's good for layering on a little extra coverage maybe. This stick, while it hasn't always been called Fit Me, Maybelline has made a stick like this going way back to the days when I was still in high school and Kmart was still open. Yes, I could smell that Little Caesars now. I remember getting a stick foundation that was this same type of look, but it wasn't yet called Fit Me. They've been making this stuff for a while. I feel like they took a break from it and brought it back as Fit Me. But no, this is a good foundation stick. If you're super dry, I'm not sure you'd love it, but still, it's not a cakey stick. I don't want you to think that just because it might be a little bit shine free that it's gonna look thick and heavy. There's a lightness, there's an ease of blending to this product, and if you're going in well moisturized, I think about any skin type could enjoy this. But that is what I'm wearing today. I lightly added that on top of this and just blended it out, and I think it looks really good. So yeah, my friends, if you're trying to spend less on your foundation, there are so many things to choose from for every preference, every skin type in the drugstore. I would love to know if you have any other ideas outside of what I've mentioned here. There's certainly still some other really good foundations that might go $1 or $2 beyond that $10 mark, but that's not what this video is about. So thank you so much for your time, everyone, and I will see you again very soon. I love you. Bye.